Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason. Speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And I thought I'd catch up on a couple things I've watched somewhat recently, as I like to do on the channel. So 2 movies and a TV show, actually. So I'm going to give a review on a movie that came out this year, Novacaine, and I'm going to give a review on Moana 2, which came out last year. And then I want to talk about the Daredevil season 1, I guess, Daredevil Born Again on Disney Plus. Give my thoughts there. So stay tuned to hear my thoughts here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well here on a Thursday afternoon. I'm back trying to do some more videos. I did a movie review yesterday of Warfare, kind of getting back into YouTube after taking about 2 weeks off. And so I want to talk about some stuff I've seen recently and give some thoughts on that. And so the first movie I'll talk about is Novacaine. Novacaine was a movie that came out a couple of months ago, I think, maybe a month ago, I don't know. Kind of a action comedy type of movie, which is my kind of movie. I like action comedy, one of my favorite genres. So I definitely was interested in this movie when it came out and considered going to see it in the theater, but I just didn't get around to going and see it in the theater. But I was kind of intrigued by it. It felt like it got okay reviews overall. I finally got to check it out. And overall, I thought it was a decent movie. Again, I do like the combination of comedy and with the action. The whole movie is this guy who can't feel pain, and he's a bank manager or like assistant manager, and this female employee, him kind of have a date, and he kind of falls in love with her. He's kind of an awkward guy. He's socially awkward, doesn't really have any friends or anything. And so there's a bank robbery, and she gets kidnapped, and he goes after them because he wants to save this girl that he really likes, and he's never had like a girlfriend maybe before, and so it was important to him. So that's the whole premise of it. I felt like the whole hook of the movie is that this guy can't feel pain, so he gets in these action sequences where he gets stabbed, he gets burned, and he keeps going because it doesn't affect him because he doesn't feel the pain, though he, I suppose, still could bleed to death and all that. But he gets shot and all these terrible things happen, but he can keep going. So it's almost like a superpower in some senses, as they say in the movie even. And my first thought was like, we did a kind of similar premise in the Kick-Ass movies with that main character, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson. His whole thing was that he couldn't feel pain, and so he tried to turn it into a superhero. Was the whole premise there. While this was just a regular guy, just, not trying to be a superhero, just trying to save this girl. So, not to say it's totally similar to that, but to me, it almost felt like something we've done before kind of thing. So I'm kind of curious, like, how is this going to be different enough to, why did we make a movie with this premise again? And like I said, overall, I didn't love it, but I thought it was actually pretty good overall. Like, I would still recommend the movie. The main actor, Jack Quaid, I believe, which I didn't realize this was Dennis Quaid's son. I'm like, didn't think he was great in the role, but I kind of get why he was in I don't know if I've seen him really in a lot of stuff so far. I can't say just based on this part, I would say, like, I thought he was great or anything. He was fine for the role. I get why he was, in this role casted, because he's kind of a skinny guy. He can kind of portray this kind of socially awkward guy pretty well. Again, the character was fine. I don't know if it was like one of my favorite characters that I've seen. But he was fine, I do like there's a bit of a twist in the movie because there's this whole thing where he's like, this girl likes him. And I remember the whole time I'm thinking, I guess I don't want to give too much away, but the whole time I'm thinking, why does this girl like him? He's so socially awkward and not confident in himself and not very smooth. And, he's an okay looking guy, but it was a little odd. I was like, because, normal people, we don't get good looking, girls like this, like this guy's getting anyway. So, but there's a bit of a twist. So I guess I won't reveal totally what happens that I liked that made more sense to the plot of the movie. I'm like, okay, this makes sense why this is all happening. And it's somewhat, almost heartbreaking for the main character. And they have the big action sequence at the end. The action was okay. I wouldn't say it was like great action by any means. Again, I feel like we've had action like this before. Um, Comedy wise, again, it was a little funny at times. It wasn't like hugely funny. Like I didn't laugh out a lot. So to me, it's like, again, I'm saying like it was fine. I wish maybe the action scenes were a little bit better, or the comedy, there was a little more comedy in it. If I laughed a little bit more, I'd probably give this a higher score. Or if I thought the action sequences were a little more interesting, I'd give it more. But overall, I thought it was overall a decent action comedy movie. I would say my favorite scene is when this one guy, he kills this one guy. And so he goes to the guy's house to try to find information to find where this girl, where they took this girl that he's trying to find. And then that guy that died, his brother, who's now angry because his brother's dead, is trying to look for revenge against, the person who killed his brother, which is this main character. And so he goes to his brother's house and he finds him at the house. And what's funny is the house is booby trapped. The brother was like very paranoid or something like that, so he booby trapped the house. And so the main character, Jack Quaid's character, he's going through the house and he keeps getting like shot with arrows or big mace things. You see in the trailer, hits him in the back. And to me, that was maybe the funniest part of the whole movie, is because he gets hit with something, and because he doesn't feel pain, he doesn't feel the pain of it, but he knows something happened, and he doesn't realize this whole house is booby trapped. So he keeps triggering things that are hitting him, and he's like, what? Are you kidding me? What is it? And so that part was actually pretty funny. Him just like reacting to all these things hitting him and being like, what? Like, it didn't hurt, but it was just, a little bothersome for him. And then the fact that the brother comes up and sees him, catches him in the house trying to, anyways. And then he was trying to play it off as, I'm just a regular thief. And, whoa, I picked the wrong house, when it's obviously, he picked it on purpose. But and he's trying to fool the brother, and the brother's not fooled at all. Like, he knows like this is the guy that he's looking for. That whole scene, I think, is probably the best scene. I do like we have the character, I don't know his name, but he was the sidekick character in the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. And so he has a small part here, which is pretty funny. I also like Matt Walsh, he plays one of the cops. Hilarious actor. He was pretty good in the movie. But anyways, overall, I'm giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. It's a light recommend. It's not one I say you have to watch, or it's not one I probably watch again. It didn't have enough in there to make me want to watch again. But it was okay overall. Anyway, so that's my mid review on that movie Novacaine that came out this year. Other movie I was going to talk about was Moana 2. I finally got around to watching that, which has been, it's came out like in maybe December last year, came out at the end of last year. It was weird because Moana, the first Moana movie, is one of my favorite Disney animation, one of the best animation movies ever. Like, I love Moana. It's a 5-star movie. It's amazing. The story, the music, it's funny, great characters, great animation. Yeah, absolutely loved it. And funny, I remember them saying they were making a Moana 2 or something like that. It was weird because they're also making a Moana live action movie as well. So it's like, they're really, really getting into Moana right now. Because I'm sure Moana 2 is probably coming out maybe next year or something. Or Moana live action probably come out next year, I'm guessing. But it felt like Moana 2 didn't have much advertisement or much marketing. It felt like all of a sudden it was here, and I was like, oh, Moana 2 is out. I remember because it came out, I feel like in December, like the very end of the year, and it felt like it came in with not much fanfare, which is weird because it's a sequel from a very popular movie that did very well and is very well regarded, has a big fan base. And yet this one just kind of came out of nowhere, it felt like to me. I remember the time it's like, oh, Moana 2's out. Like, and I remember thinking, oh, I need to go see that, because I really loved the first one. And then it got really bad reviews. I remember just bad reviews all across the board. It felt like everybody was like, yeah, this is not very good. And I was very like disappointed just hearing that news and going, oh man, that sucks. Like I was hoping for a good sequel to this movie. And so I think that's why I put off seeing it, just because I heard so many bad reviews. I was just like, well, I'll just catch it at some point on Disney Plus or whenever. Anyway, so I was at my parents' house for Easter weekend a couple weekends ago. And I was like, oh, I haven't seen Moana 2. Let's watch that. And my dad's seen it already, so we were watching it. And I have to admit, like, me and my dad were talking, so I think I missed some things here and there. So I didn't have my full attention on it, but I was watching it for the most part. And for the second half of the movie, I definitely was, like, watching all of it and really paying attention. But so I kind of went into it not thinking it's going to be very good. So it's always a bad feeling when you go into a movie thinking, I just feel like it's not going to be very good because I've heard all these bad reviews. But I'm going to give it a chance, just to see what happens. And I'll say, I was watching it, I thought it was much better than what the reviews are. I actually thought it was actually a pretty good movie. I actually was like pleasantly surprised. I was like, oh, I actually kind of enjoyed this. Not nearly as good as the first one. Yeah, Moana is just absolutely amazing. It's like I said, it's one of the best ever done. And sequels are hard. It's hard to make a sequel nowadays. Feels like that's going to live up to the first one. So yeah, it doesn't live up to the first one, but I don't think it's a detriment necessarily to the. Unfortunately, I don't know if it did very well. So there's probably no Moana 3 coming out, and I don't know if there needs to be Moana 3, but so I might have stopped that series unfortunately. But um, and I've heard that one of the big problems of the movie is that they originally wanted this to be, I think, a TV show, but then kind of as they're made it, they decided to, hey, let's just cut this into a live action movie and put it out in theater. So it has that weird, like, oh, it feels like this could have been a TV show, but now we're forcing it into a movie kind of thing. I don't know if I felt like that, like, yeah, this definitely didn't work because of that, but I know that was one of the reasons behind why it didn't do so well. I know Lin-Man Miranda, whatever, didn't do the music in this one. He did the music or he wrote music in the first movie, so you're missing, him as well. I still thought the music actually was really good. I really, not as good as the first one, of course. It had some really great songs, but I still was enjoying the music a lot. I thought still some good musical numbers in there. I think Moana is a great character. I really like her, so she still have a really good character at the core of the movie. Um, I think the big problem with the movie for me, where it kind of hurts the movie, is that Maui, played by Dwayne Johnson, is my favorite character in the first movie. I mean, he stole the show. In that one, he's a very funny character, and he's cool because he's like this demigod who has these powers and all this. And yeah, it's just and he had a great character arc as well in the first movie. So he's very likable and all that. And Dwayne Johnson does such a good job as the voice. And he does a good job in this movie too. I think he actually does a really good job voice acting. And the problem though is that Maui is hardly in the first half of this movie. It's mostly Moana and then a couple other people I'll talk about that join her crew. While he's kind of like captured by this witch lady who's kind of the main villain. It's not until the second half of the movie that they find where he's being like kind of held by this witch lady in this place, and they kind of I don't know if they rescue him, but they kind of meet finally, and then he's in for the rest of the movie. The second half of the movie is so much better, I think, because of Maui. The character Maui finally joins the group, and he just makes the movie so much better. I just love that character, and so the first half of the movie is just missing that character, and it really, I think, hurts the movie from being really great. Like, I thought that was a bad choice in my opinion. It's like, man, you got such a great character. You got to have that character, more in the movie, I think, in my opinion. And so the problem with the first half is like, the whole thing is, again, the plot wise, it was fine. I think she's trying to find this, I'm forgetting exactly the plot again, but she's trying to find this island or something. And she's trying to unite all these other tribes, I think, as seafarers, whatever, yeah, sail the seas and all this. And so I thought overall it was a decent enough plot. And so she has to get this crew together. And so they introduce these 3 new characters that are helping her sail on this boat, because she's now like a expert sailor now. And so they got to go sail. And now, so they get these 3 characters. And I think the big problem is like, we concentrate so much on her, and she's trying to train these 3 characters on how to sail. And she's trying to develop a rapport with them. And we're trying to get to know these 3 new characters. And I would say they're very forgettable characters that aren't that great. Like, and that sucks. Like, if they could have come up with 3 really funny characters, maybe, or not maybe all funny, but at least one like really funny character, and some whatever. But if they had 3 kind of interesting characters, I think that could carry that first part of the movie, it could have worked. But I felt like the 3 other characters weren't interesting enough. And the whole time I'm just thinking, where's Maui? Like, the first half of the movie, I'm just like, let's get Maui back in this movie. Like, we need him. Like, he's definitely, the whole first movie was kind of this buddy movie with Moana and Maui. That's what made the first movie so good, is those 2 together, their dynamic and everything. And like I said, the second movie I thought was so much better when he comes in, because I love that relationship that they have is great. He has a song that I thought was really good in the movie, maybe my favorite song in the movie. Not as good as Welcome. Welcome is my favorite song from the first movie. I love that song. You're welcome, you're welcome. It's so good. But he has a song that's actually pretty good, that he's trying to motivate Moana. I think she's having some self-doubt or something like that. And he does this song kind of motivating her. If I remember right, it's still pretty catchy, still a pretty good song overall. So I still enjoyed that. Overall, the villain was pretty good. This witch lady villain, I thought it was actually a pretty good villain. I thought it had actually a really good ending to it. I was very satisfied. And so I left this movie going, yeah, I thought this was actually much better than all the reviews. I don't know why it got such bad reviews. I thought it was actually a pretty decent movie. Again, I'm giving it like a 3 out of 5 stars. So it's a light recommend. It's not a strong recommend. Like I said, I think the big problems are just, it's missing Maui in the first half, and the other characters weren't quite as good to carry the movie. And it probably hurts the fact that it's a sequel to a really great movie, and you still go, yeah, it's not as funny. The songs aren't as good, the characters aren't as good, so that kind of hurts the movie as well, which is hard. When you do a sequel, you have to go bigger, and you have to do all kinds of things to try to overcome that. That's not the first movie. In saying that, I think it's actually one of the best Disney movies that they've done in a long time. We've had so many bad Disney movies lately. It's been horrible. It's a really problem Disney's had. I think both in Disney, for me, both in the Disney animation and the Pixar. Now we did have a sequel. I'm saying sequels have not done very well, except that Inside Out 2 did incredibly well. It was the biggest box office movie of the year, the $1 billion movie. I'm not big on Inside Out 2. I thought it was okay. Like Inside Out, I think it's okay. It's not my favorite Disney movies. I don't know, just not my favorite. But yet they both done very well. So I can't, So they did do a good job there. In fact, I like Moana 2 better than I like Inside Out 2. I think it's a better movie in my opinion. And that's probably a controversial opinion. I don't know, hot take on there, but I was thinking back, in fact, I'm just thinking about Pixar and Disney movies. This is the best movie I've seen out of them, maybe since Zootopia. I can't remember. Zootopia might have been the last really great movie. This isn't as good as Zootopia, but I'm just saying they've had a lot of bad movies since Zootopia, I think. Wreck-It Ralph. I feel like those were the last maybe really great Disney movies we've had. Pixar, of course, I loved Toy Story 4, which came out in 2019. So that was definitely a great movie from them. But since Pixar has just made some really terrible movies since. But I would say, this movie is much better than Wish, much better than Strange World, or terrible movies, better than Onward. I'm forgetting which. I know I get mixed up with Disney and Pixar, but it's better than all the Pixar stuff that's put out for sure. Better than Raya and the Last Dragon. I think it's even better than Encanto. And Encanto I like too. Encanto is maybe the last good movie that Disney's made. And I think this is actually even better than Encanto, to be honest. To me, yeah, again, you have to go back. It's better than Ralph Breaks the Internet, better than Frozen 2. You have to go way back to Zootopia, Wreck-It Ralph. I want to say maybe the last 2 really good movies. So this has been one of the better movies. So to me, it's a big positive. It's almost a win for Disney, even though it probably didn't do very well in the theater, unfortunately. But or it's not reviewed very well. I think it's actually a better movie than they've done lately. So it's a step in the right direction, hopefully, for them. Now Zootopia 2 is coming out this year, so hopefully they don't screw that up and they can make a decent sequel to one of my favorite Disney movies. And they maybe can start digging themselves out of this hole they dug themselves into. I don't know. There's always hoping for them. Because I love when they make a good movie. Disney when they're on something, they can make one of my favorite movies, or some of my favorite movies come from Disney. So I love to see them get back to making good movies. Let's get back to making good movies. But yeah. So yeah, Moana 2, much better than I expected. And I actually recommend it. All right, last time we talk about another Disney, I guess, related project, and that is Daredevil Born Again. There's season 1, I guess, of at least 2 seasons that they have ready. Man, this has such a long, troubled past right now, the Daredevil series. And I watched the Daredevil on Netflix when it was a Netflix series. And I really like Daredevil. The first 3 seasons, really good stuff. Some of the best TV stuff I've seen. Best superhero show I've seen ever. I don't think we've ever had a superhero show that good. And it was obviously, it was rated R, violent, gritty kind of movie. I love the characters, Daredevil, Murdoch, it's such a great character. And yeah, Kingpin is one of the best villains. When this might have been a year or more ago, me and Adam and another guy ranked our top five, I think. It might have been like our top five favorite superhero villains or something like that. And I think I had Kingpin at number 5 or something like that. I think Kingpin's one of the best villains we've ever seen. And it's all because Vincent D'Onofrio just totally nailed it. The Kingpin, I know Kingpin from, Spider-Man cartoon series. I know Kingpin from the comic books. Kingpin's always been, I thought, a really great villain character. And they haven't nailed it until they did that Daredevil series. And Vincent D'Onofrio was like, what a great performance, man. He was such a good villainous character. And that character's so great. And the scenes with them, Matt Murdock and Kingpin, I know he has another name, but just call him Kingpin. Man, some great scenes there. And he's so vicious and violent and calculating. Yeah, great stuff. And yeah, the fight choreography was so good in that Netflix series. That's what really got me onto that show. I remember it was coming out, and I always knew about Daredevil. Of course, I saw the Ben Affleck movie back in the day. It was a terrible movie. And I was aware of the superhero kind of, and I thought it was a cool superhero idea. He's blind, but his other senses are like so overpowered. It's kind of like he has superpowers because of his other senses. It's a really cool idea for a character, I think. And yeah, when that first season came on Netflix, man, I was like, wow, this is some good fight choreography. I really like the character. I love the character motivation, why he's fighting crime, I thought it was great. And the fight scenes were so good. And then the second season, when you throw in the Punisher and Elektra, I love the second season. It's probably my favorite. So far, it's my favorite season that they've done. I love the Punisher character. I thought John Berthenol, I think his name is, man, is he good. That's the best Punisher they've ever done. And they've done Punisher a couple different times in movies. That's definitely the best, I think. Just perfect casting, just nailed that character. I thought, man, that was so good. Yeah, so I thought that show was so good. Unfortunately, at the third season was the weakest season to me, though they did add a good Bullseye villain character. I thought they did a good job with the Bullseye villain. The Punisher series, I didn't like that much. Even though I love the Punisher character and I love John Berthnall's performance, I wasn't into his show. I wasn't into the other Defenders. They did Jessica Jones and whatever, and I didn't like those shows very much. I didn't think any of those shows were very good. To me, it's all was Daredevil. Daredevil was the only show that Netflix did that I thought was good for some reason. It's kind of like Star Wars. The Mandalorian's like the only good Star Wars show that Disney's done. It feels like, but yeah. So anyway, so I say all that to say, when they announced that they were doing another Daredevil series, like kind of a continuation, I was so excited. Like, this was the most excited series I've had in a while, where when they announced that, and that was like, I feel like that was a couple of years ago, they announced it, and I was like, this is my like most, what you call, this is the series or whatever that I'm most looking forward to out of anything that, was coming out like last year. Because this should have came out like last year, I think. So last year I was so excited. I'm like, all right, last year we're going to get Daredevil again. And then they ended up having to do like reshoots, and they had to like rewrite the series or something. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I was so anticipating it. And then finally it came. I'm like, so excited. Like, all right, we're finally getting Daredevil. This new Daredevil series, like finally. Been waiting for so long for another Daredevil series. Yeah, so being so excited about it, man, what a disappointment. They totally botched this show. Disney took it and screwed it, as Disney does. Disney takes things and screws it up. They screw up Star Wars. They screw up Indiana Jones. They screwed up Willow. I mean, they take all these franchises and they just screw it up. They're just so terrible as a company. They just don't know how to get good writers, good showrunners, good, I don't know, producers. I don't know. They're just terrible right now. And God, it kind of upsets me that they could not nail the show. It's like, man, if they could have one hit show, this should be it. They should be able to nail this. Take the same formula as Netflix, put it in the show, and you're going to have a good hit on your hands. And you need a hit because you've been having a lot of fails. You need a good hit, and they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. It makes me so mad. They just totally screwed up. Yeah, Daredevil. Now, they were supposed to do the original idea, I think, was like a 18 episode season, which was kind of, I think it was like 18 episode season, which I was like, wow. They never do that. They always do these 8-episode seasons, 6-episode seasons. Like, you don't get very many episodes in these seasons. And I was so excited when I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna get like this long series. Like, and I even thought Daredevil looked good in She-Hulk. She-Hulk, not a great series, but his moments I thought were good. I thought he was good in the one scene he was in Echo. I thought that one fight scene was actually pretty good. So I'm like, okay, they got the character right. I think they seem like they know how to do choreography with him well. They're really setting this guy up for a series, though it took forever. And so they're gonna do this big 18 like episode season. I was so excited for it. And then they're like, oh, the show was so bad that they had to rewrite the show or something like that. I was like, oh, that's not good. So again, it's because these stupid liberal woke politics, whatever, they can't make a good show. And so they, we're making this show without Daredevil in it, I think. It's just going to be Matt Murdock as like a lawyer or something, and wasn't going to have, Foggy or Karen in it or whatever. And then they decide, maybe they made it and the previews were so bad that they're like, we got to go back to the drawing board and rewrite the series or redo it in some way. And that's what I was hearing about scenes. So I was like, oh God, I was still hopeful. But then watching it, yeah, it's so bad. It's like, it's so boring. Daredevil's hardly in the show. It's called Daredevil, and yet we only get maybe 3 episodes where Daredevil actually even shows up. I mean, when I say Daredevil, I mean putting on the costume and fighting crime, which is the whole reason why I want to watch the show. I want to see Matt Murdock, whatever, Daredevil in the costume fighting crime. I want a really good villain that he has to fight. Of course, Kingpin and somebody else or whatever. God, we didn't get that. Most of the episodes, Daredevil doesn't show up at all. Just Matt Murdock, again, being a lawyer. And it was boring and uninteresting. And the worst part, I think, is Kingpin. There's so many problems I have with Kingpin. Character is still done pretty well by Vincent D'Onofrio, but he's such an uninteresting character in this series as he was in the Netflix. And a lot of it is because the whole season he becomes mayor. He becomes mayor of New York, whatever, which makes absolutely no sense. The guy is a convicted felon. He spent time in prison, and now he's mayor. It makes no freaking sense. Like, I think it's so stupid that he's mayor. And so now he's mayor, and we spent so many episodes, most of the season, him just doing mayor things. And in fact, this show should be called like Daredevil and Kingpin or something like that, because Kingpin has just as many scenes probably as Matt Murdock does in this show. There's so many scenes of him being mayor and just, oh, we got to go to this event, we got to go to this event, we got to make this decision. I'm like, who freaking cares? I want to see Daredevil fighting crime. That's why I watch the show. I don't want to see Kingpin being mayor and making mayor decisions. I thought it was so stupid and terrible. It made the show so boring and uninteresting, like I said before. And he wasn't a very interesting villain until the very end. He kind of becomes a villain finally. And so maybe they're just ramping up because there's a season 2. There's only 9 episodes in this season. So there's probably 9 episodes next season. So maybe we're going to get more, Kingpin being Kingpin and Daredevil being Daredevil. We can only hope, because if this was just a preview for the second season, it's like, no, we need a good season. Disney needs something good, and they couldn't do it. And like I said, there's only a couple scenes. I feel like only a couple scenes here and there you get Daredevil in, and the very final episode you do get a lot of Daredevil. You get a lot of action, and even the action scenes to me weren't that great. Like, as far as fight choreography, not nearly as good as what Netflix did. And there's some CGI moments that like, oh, it looks too CGI'd, doesn't look real. The Netflix series looked like practical effects, looked real. This looked too CGI'd, the fighting in it, and it just didn't look. And even just, I don't know, the action scene, even Punisher doesn't. He looked like he's in the show because he's in the trailer based of the show, but he's in like 2 scenes in the whole show. I mean, or 2 episodes in the whole 9-episode season. And so he doesn't even do that much great stuff as you would wish. And it looked like there's going to be multiple villains, but really, you're like halfway through this show and they come up with this villain, the Muse, which looks cool. He looks like a cool villain. He's a serial killer who paints murals with a victim's blood. There's an interesting thing there. He's in like 2 episodes. I'm spoiling some of the show, but he's in 2 episodes and he gets killed. And that's it. That's the end of the Muse. And I thought, oh, this is like a cool main villain that he's got to fight at the end. No, he gets killed so easily, and there's like maybe 2 fight scenes in the whole movie that he has with Daredevil, basically. and then he's gone. I'm like, Muse, this guy should have been like the main villain. He should have been the villain from the very beginning and had a villain arc and got killed in like the 9th episode, the very final episode, while he also had the Kingpin arc. That would make more sense. It's so stupid that you bring in this really cool villainous character and he only has like 2 episodes and he's gone. It's like, what was the deal with that? They even like have this one character they kind of develop for a couple episodes and he gets killed and he's actually like a vigilante, whatever. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Let's build characters for the whole show and then maybe kill him at the very end, but don't give him a 2, show arc and then kill him off. Like I need more of that. I need a cool villain and they couldn't do it for a full, I don't know. It just seemed like a pointless, plotless show. Just about Matt Murdock doesn't want to be Daredevil, which we get that all the time. Superheroes that don't want to be superheroes. I don't need that. I want a superhero who wants to be a superhero. That's what I was expecting out of this. And that's what I thought I was going to get, but I didn't get that. And we want a villain to be a villain like Kingpin. We want him to be a villain for the whole show, and he isn't until the very end. It just doesn't work. I think it was a terrible, terrible, terrible take on the Daredevil that was way worse than anything. I mean, just way worse than what they did on Netflix. Netflix was great. This was terrible. Disney, you screwed it up again. Good job. Anyways, that's my take on Daredevil. I thought it was so terrible, unfortunately. But anyways, that's my thoughts on these 3 projects, the 2 movies and the TV show. Please feel free to comment what you thought on these 3. And if you agree or disagree with me. But anyway, besides that, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for liking the video. And thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all and hope you guys